Okay, sorry, it was a final call from 5 till 1 in Russian for our press office. Very warm welcome to everybody, and thank you very much for joining us. So, good morning to Europe, good afternoon to Yekaterinburg, really snowing, and good evening to our Asian part. So we unite everybody. Thank you very much. I am here in Ural Federal University, and I'm really happy for being here because of distance learning, it's not really popular place to be. So today we will speak with you about internationalization of business schools in the coronavirus epoch, challenges and opportunities. I was wondering what I was doing last year and pre-last year in this time, and I would say that last year I was participant of the beautiful Kedge Partner Days in Bordeaux, and pre-last year I was planning international activity for the next year. Different exhibitions, different international meetings, and so on and so forth. I would say that this year changed everything, but for sure now we have this great international conference with great international guests, and we still have possibility to talk, to discuss everything in this nice company. That's why I think there are not just challenges, but also opportunities. So we have here along a lot of our partner universities, but also we have our key speakers. And I want to give the first word to our key expert, Robert Gallier, Senior Advisor for EQUIS and FMD Accreditation, FMD Global, and we are happy that this workshop is under the FMD Global. Thank you very much for this. And welcoming speech and also some overview of this interesting problem from Robert Gallier. Please, Robert. And I'm sorry, one technical point. I will ask participants to tell us, I switch on the presentation when you're switching it on for our press service, and they will do it like very beautiful. Thank you very much. Bob, please.
I'm trying to So very briefly then, the Quality Services portfolio deals with institutional accreditation through EQUIS, program accreditation through what was called EPAS and now EFMD accredited, EDAF, which is dealing with schools that are developing, and then also online courses, EOCs. And you can see quite a number of different schools and programs are going through these processes. I should say with EOCs, this also includes courses that are being put online by companies, not just business schools. I'll focus though on EQUIS, EFMD accredited and EDAF to begin with, and then talk about some of our experiences since this past March. Give you a sense of that global reach of quality services. There are almost 200 schools from around the globe that have received EQUIS accreditation, about 2/3 of which are 5-year accredited and 1/3 3 years accredited, and roughly half from Europe and half from the rest of the world. The latter is an increasing proportion of the total, and I would expect it to become the majority in the coming years. So far as program accreditation is concerned, we've got the inverse proportion, about 2/3 are 3-year accredited and 1/3 5-year accredited. And there's a much greater proportion of programs that are accredited from institutions in the European region. Again, though, the non-European programs are increasing in number week by week. There's a reason for the lower proportion of 5-year accredited programs, and that is up until very recently, many schools had gone through EPAS accreditation and then gone on to become EQUIS accredited. And the previous policy was that they would drop EPAS accreditation once becoming EQUIS accredited. Now that's no longer the case, and EQUIS schools are now able to have some of their programs accredited as well. Why would they want to do that? Well, I think at least 2 reasons. One is certain of those EQUIS schools may have relatively new programs under development or going through redevelopment, and they would like some external review taking place about those programs. Or they may have a flagship program which they really want to draw attention to, whether it may be a PhD or a suite of master's programs or their undergraduate programs, which distinguish themselves in their marketplace. And those are the reasons why they're doing it. And we've got half a dozen or so schools that have either piloted or are going through EFMD program accreditation as we speak. Again, the number will increase in the coming year. Let me just touch on EDAF for a couple of minutes. As I said, this is about development. And there are at least 2 paths that schools might want to approach EDAF. One relates simply to help in their ongoing development. As a result of the external advice they receive, they gain a certificate and become part of the EFMD community. So that helps in terms of their ongoing development itself, but also gives them a sense of being part of an international club. Other schools that are again going through development, but maybe thinking about getting involved in having their either their institution as a whole being accredited or a particular program or programs. And so this helps them to identify the gaps in their current delivery and portfolio and what they would need to do in order to become eligible for either institutional or program accreditation. The current EDAF community, as you'll see, there are schools in China, in Africa, in other parts of Asia and South America that have already gained EDAF certification. And there are quite a few schools, 12 in fact, from 9 different countries, from different parts of the world, who are in process of gaining EDAF certification. Now let me segue now into the internationalization as a key feature of quality services accreditations, whether it be at the institutional or the program level. You'll see as far as EQUIS is concerned, we're focusing on the overall institution, whether it concerns its own ongoing strategy, its vision for the future, the programs it delivers, the students it has, the faculty, resources available to it, and what it's doing in terms of research. But there are 3 what we call transversal issues that relate to each of those elements. One concerning the important issue of ethics, responsibility, sustainability. Another, the connections with the world of practice. And third, and very importantly, and relevant to this particular session today, relates to internationalization. So the extent to which the students receive an international learning experience, the extent to which the faculty have international backgrounds, or the extent, for example, to which they have international relations concerning their research endeavors. Similarly, the framework for programs, of course, this is focusing much more on program design, delivery, operations, and the outcomes, what the graduates are doing. And again, you see those 3 transversal issues being very much part of the standards that we apply to program accreditation, and internationalization is key amongst those 3. How do we define internationalization? Well, this is the way we were looking at it prior to the COVID outbreak. We were looking at strategic considerations, the standing of the institution or the program in the international environment, the extent to which non-nationals were involved in the advisory boards or governance of the institution or a particular set of programs. As I was saying before, the extent to which there were links internationally in relation to learning resources, research, and the languages used. I often say that I feel a prisoner of my own language, being an English speaker. But to what extent do English-speaking institutions provide language training, whether it's in Chinese, in Russian, in French, in Spanish? This would be a feature that we would be looking at. And of course, those non-English speaking institutions, the extent to which English is being used. In terms of context, again, here we're talking about faculty, as I mentioned previously, but also visiting professors, exchange programs, which we'll hear about perhaps in later sessions, and the extent to which there are services provided to faculty and students in terms of their international opportunities. The network itself, I mentioned the network that EFMD offers, but again, we're looking at the extent to which a school or a set of programs has international partners and alliances, and the extent to which there are international activities taking place. Then come March this year, a certain thing called COVID-19 hit us. So what did that do to that international framework? Well, it didn't change it, but it made us rethink how, one, we went about accreditation reviews, and two, what we really meant by internationalization in this context when borders have been closed. So in March, we had to postpone all the reviews that we had scheduled and had to think about what we were going to do about conducting accreditation reviews, despite the fact that we were unable to visit schools in person. We worked on this for a couple of months and piloted online reaccreditation reviews starting in May 2020. That experience led us to understand that we really could do this, and all reaccreditation reviews were taking, all the reaccreditations which were scheduled for the second half of the year were moved to an online format. But we also started piloting on online initial accreditations in these past few months. We've undertaken a number now and have decided, given the ongoing nature, unfortunately, of the COVID pandemic, we'll continue to do that in 2021. But what about the situation when, hopefully, we're through this pandemic? What have we learned from this experience that might be taken on into the future? What has actually been an opportunity for us, which we will continue to practice, even when we're enabled to do physical visits to institutions internationally. I think two things, fairly basic things associated with the accreditation or reaccreditation visits, we will continue to do. And that relates to the virtual base room and tours of campus. In physical visits, we would have a base room with lots of different materials which would back up self-assessment reports and data sheets to give us a further insight into the institution itself or into the particular programs that we were reviewing. Now that's available prior to the visit taking place. So the peer review team, in fact, is much more prepared than it might otherwise have been. And that material is available during the visit, but also afterwards when the peer review report is being prepared and perhaps additional evidential data is required in order to ensure that the report is comprehensive and accurate. So those things we are likely to continue with into the future. But we've also learned an awful lot from the schools that have been being accredited regarding internationalization and what they're doing about internationalization in this current environment. Essentially though, so we've asked the question, how has the school reacted to the current circumstances? Now we recognize, as we always do in the EFMD, that there's no one best single approach to reacting to internationalization. It will depend very much on the context, on the vision that the school has, on its strategic imperatives. So, but we're asking the question, specifically, what has been done to provide a cross-cultural learning experience for students, cross-cultural endeavors in terms of research, etc. So we recognize that the strategic plans may well have been had to be put on hold, that existing arrangements have been put on hold and have been amended as a result of the pandemic. We're seeing, for example, virtual study tours being developed, joint programs, courses being arranged virtually. even case studies within courses being conducted across campuses in virtual teams and so on. And this in itself has been a fantastic opportunity for our students and faculty to learn about working in virtual teams, the new working environments which our students will be going into once they graduate. Of course, we've seen many examples of moving to online or mixed delivery of courses. We're seeing PhD vivas taking place virtually. We've seen even advisory board memberships being extended with more international members because schools have recognized the fact that it doesn't necessarily have to mean that we're limited in terms of the membership of advisory boards based on location.
I'm sorry.
Alumni.
Bob, I'm sorry, it's time a little bit.
Yes, I'm finishing. I've got one more sentence.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Just in relation to expanding alumni relationships with webinars and so on. So that fits in, I think, I hope, to provide an introduction so that we can now hear about the Russian experience and go on to hearing more cases from other nations in terms of their experiences with respect to COVID. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. It was a great introduction to the internationalization itself, like nowadays, before pandemic and in the moment of pandemic. Thanks a lot. And now we are really turning to Russian side, and we have here Russian International Affairs Council. It's a Russian organization connected to the Ministry of International Relations, and they are making most of analytics connected to the policy, diplomatic issues, and so on and so forth. And they have special project connected to the web internationalization. So we will ask now Elena Karpinskaya, Deputy Director of Programs, to talk a little bit about it. Little technical issue. 1 minute before the time finishes, I will send you applauses like this. And when 0 minutes are left, I will send you something else. So yeah, thank you for this. Okay, Elena, please, are you here? Are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Hi to everybody. Victoria, thank you very much for such nice introduction. I really appreciate the chance to be able to speak today. Though the Russian International Affairs Council I represent doesn't have a specific experience on working with business schools, still we have a great experience on working with a big number of leading Russian universities. And just a moment, I will show you the presentation. Can you?
It's coming. Yeah, now we can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, just a moment. I will open. Okay.
Great.
You can see it, right?
Yes.
As Victoria already told, we have quite a huge experience on the issue of web internationalization of Russian universities. But before speaking on this topic, I would like to start with some current trends of higher education development. Today, there is hardly any area that is on one degree or another not affected by the consequences of COVID. This also applies to the sphere of higher education. There is no region and country that hasn't faced serious problems that have stood in the way of the development of higher education in general and international education in principle. According to the last research of the International Association of Universities on the impact of COVID-19 on higher education around the world, the current crisis has a significant impact on international mobility and recruitment of international students. Experts predict that international educational market will become more sensitive and the level of competition will increase. The market will shift towards poorer countries whose universities can offer more affordable educational programs. Professor Simon Marginson from Oxford University, for example, predicts that tuition fees, safety, and well-being will be the most important factors by choosing a place of study in the nearest future. In new conditions caused by the pandemic, the possibilities of using traditional channels of promotion of education and science to international markets are limited. Online channels of communication and promotion of educational and scientific services in foreign markets are coming on the fore. English language web resources has become one of the main marketing tools for higher education. According to QS Digital Solutions, Digital Marketing Trends in Higher Education of the year 2016, more than 75 of higher education organizations worldwide prefer online students recruiting. According to foreign experts, 92 of foreign students are usually recruited through the university website. According to the survey by a group of European sociologists, 1 of 5 respondents struck out from their list of educational institutions those universities whose websites they didn't like. Moreover, 93 of potential students in Asia countries consider their future university, first of all, through its official website. Taking into account new opportunities in the context of global shifts in international educational market, Russian universities should pay attention to the development of web internationalization. The efficiency of using English language web resources has become an important factor of export of educational services and increasing the attractiveness of higher education abroad. The Russian International Affairs Council I represent has started the research on web internationalization of universities in 2015, and from that year regularly publishes reports based on data collected. The assess of content of English language online resources of 67 Russian universities, REACT developed a methodology based on different definition of target audiences and the analysis of individual semantic blocks of university websites. We identified such audiences as foreign applicants and their parents, current students, alumni, potential employers, potential or current university staff members, researchers, institutional partners, international rating agencies, etc. In the core of the study, main content blocks of the university's English language website needed by these target groups were identified as demonstrated on this slide. These blocks include information about university, its history, mission, and strategic goals, management and staff, departments and institutes, admissions and educational programs, science and research, libraries, employment opportunities, alumni, information for foreign partners, etc. These semantic blocks on one hand reflect various aspects of the university functioning. On the other hand, the needs of target groups using university websites and other online resources to obtain the necessary information. The development methodology is based on pilot projects in 11 leading Russian universities and examination of websites of best foreign universities from QS Top 100 World University Ranking. The assessment of English websites is based on different variables. The maximum possible score is 108 and minimum score is 0. Scores can be calculated for each of the 16 blocks I've mentioned previously. The obtained data is summarized in the form of University Web Internationalization Index. The Web Internationalization of Russian Universities ranking in this year represents
Elena, are you okay? Are you with us? Oops.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay.
This connection, just demonstrate the presentation. Once again, here it is. So where have you lost me?
Sorry?
Okay, I will continue.
Yes, from this place we lost. And 3 minutes more, please.
Okay, just very briefly on the methodology. The university we analyzed were divided into 3 groups. The first group, leaders, underperformers, and the third group we called underperformers. So you can see the information on these 3 groups. What about the research results? In general, universities show a more dynamic development compared to previous years. 65 of universities in the ranking have improved their performance. The development potential for the websites of the majority of Russian universities remains, unfortunately, unfulfilled. Only 10% of the web portals of Russian universities are filled by more than 67%. The largest growth in the section key figures, history, partners, and the largest, the section contact information about university admission, social life are most developed, and the less developed remain as previously library, alumni, career, and departments and institutes. Here you can see the leading universities that take first 6 places in our last rating. The ranking reflects the leading positions of National Research University High School of Economics. Though the research shows that the gap in points between the leaders of the rating has narrowed. The second and third places this year are kept by Ural Federal University and St. Petersburg State University of Information Technologies, Mechanics and Optics, respectively. In 2020, the Skolkovo Institute of Science and Technology returned to the group of leaders. For the first time, the Peter the Great St. Petersburg Polytechnic University and the People's Friendship University of Russia joined the group of leaders. It should be noted that a number of universities increased their performance by 10 to 15 points among them. So you can see the list of the universities here. The analysis demonstrated that the pace of development of the portals of the universities of the group of leaders decreased. The competition within the catch-up group has noticeably increased. Leaders pay more attention to the sections about university, contacts, mission and strategic goals, key figures, news, admissions, and partners. At the same time, the section departments and institutes, alumni and career are underdeveloped. Positive dynamics shows the development of the second group. 75 improved their performance. The third group shows insignificant growth, with 3 universities not even having an English website. The most developed are the basic sections, and the sections graduates, career, and key figures are filled less than 8%. Here you can see the whole picture of performance of all 3 groups. The more developed remain the basic sections like about university, mission, contact information, main figures, etc. The less developed and most problematic for Russian universities are sections career, alumni, and library. In our research, we separately compared Russian universities with world-leading universities from QS Top 100 World Universities ranking. The sample included universities where English is not the native language and which are therefore in a situation similar to that of Russian universities. The results show that Russian universities in general are significantly behind foreign universities, but if we compare leading Russian and foreign universities, we can see that Russian leaders outperform the majority of universities of the QS Top 100 in the section educational programs, research, admission, and about university. The gap from the foreign universities is minimal. Still in the blocks, departments, alumni, library, and career, Russian universities are far behind universities from the first 100 of the QS ranking, and should pay special attention to their development. So I'm finished. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Elena. Thank you very much for interesting information and taking this opportunity again. Congratulations for the Ural Federal University for the 2nd place. Okay, so I wanted to ask Bob, what do
But what is it? What is the content? It's not just the content. It's about accessibility and ease of navigation, because one could easily go to another website if one is having difficulties there. Clearly, the Russian institutions that mentioned have been improving. And if EFMD has anything to do about it through EDAF, we will wish to see even greater competition as business schools the world over develop. I think too, so we'll see a growing Asian market and growing excellence, and we've seen this already from Asian business schools and Asian universities. And I would expect that to continue. If I can just add one other thing, it's very easy to put one's material, teaching materials, on the internet. MIT did this some years ago, but MIT retains its leading position. Why? And that is because the value added that they give at Sloan or within MIT more generally. So I think one of the learnings that we've identified from our interactions with schools is it's not just a case of putting materials, teaching materials online, but it's about developing learning experiences in addition to those teaching materials. So that's the way that one distinguishes oneself from the pack, I think. So it's not just the material that's on the website, but it's what you do with them in terms of your interactions with your various stakeholders. Primarily, of course, students, but also alumni, corporate relations, etc.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. And now I would like to move to our next track, I would say. It's experience of our partner universities. So now we will have opportunity to look inside internationalization policy of our best and beloved partners. And we will start from us, sorry. We will start from Graduate School of Economics and Management, and I would like to give this word to Ekaterina Demchenko, Head of International Office of Graduate School of Economics and Management. Please, Ekaterina.
Good morning or good afternoon, depending on the time and the country you are in now. So I'm really very happy to present our school experience. And thank you so much for joining us today. And I welcome you to Graduate School of Economics and Management, at least virtually. So I will share my screen right now. So I hope that you can see my presentation quite well. And actually, Victoria said some words about the content of my presentation, and what I'm going to talk about is to give you a very brief overview of our university and our school, just to give an understanding of the context of our internationalization development, because it is really quite important to see our difference from, for example, European cases and European experience. We have a lot of very specific features for internationalization development, and these features, they really influence and define our strategy. But actually, it was very interesting for me to listen to our previous presenters, because what they said about, for example, as Bob said about virtual team working and virtual networking, and Elena said about development of the universities in the web, everything we felt quite well during this very extraordinary year. And I for sure can say that it is a kind of reloading and transformation of our international strategy and the strategy of internationalization in Graduate School of Economics and Management. So I will start with a very brief picture of our university, which celebrates 100th anniversary this year, and the university is really quite big, about 40,000 students in all the institutions of the university. It is really quite international because we have students from more than 90 countries currently, and we have more than 500 partner universities. It is worth to mention that more than 10% of these partners, they are partners of Graduate School of Economics and Management, and we collaborate with these partners directly and develop our own international projects. And for sure, we can say that Graduate School of Economics and Management has the biggest international experience in the entire Federal University. So we have quite strong position in QS ranking, and we constantly improve our positions. For example, for the last year, we improved it by 33 points to have a position of 331 currently, and hope to improve it further. And I'm proud to say that this year we improved our positions in Times Higher Education ranking, and now we are in top 400 according to economics area. That means that that's a very big role of Graduate School of Economics and Management there. So that's very brief overview of our university and now the profile of Graduate School of Economics and Management in connection with our international developments. Again, you can see here our positions in global ranking and of course in QS and Times Higher Education, as I mentioned before. We are very proud to say that we are EFMD accredited our bachelor program International Economics and Business since 2015, and we are members of European Foundation for Management Development since 2013. It is very important for us to show our global visibility, and I will show you just in a minute why it is so important for us. And that is why we are trying to develop our global membership, and we became a member of ACSB since 2017 and some other international organizations. We try to increase the number of our international students. Currently, we have students from many countries around the world, and of course, we promote our partnerships with our international academic partners. And it is very important that we think not only about the numbers. It is important for us because we develop joint international projects and we focus on their quality, and more than 10%, now there's about 13% of our partners, they are triple crown schools, and about 60% of our partners, they have at least one international accreditation on the first level. So that is EFMD accreditation or ACSB accreditation or AMBA accreditation. Currently, we have 4 international programs in our portfolio. That means that these are the programs delivered totally or partially in English and providing international opportunities to their students. We have 6 double degree options with the leading European business schools, and some of our double degree partners, they currently take part in our today workshop. Just say hello to Catch Business School and Vieja Business School, and some other participants, they are our prospective double degree partners, I hope so. And we have many courses taught in English and many connections with international companies as our corporate partners. So that is how we develop our internationalization and the main directions and areas for development of our internationalization. But what is important to see, of course, that is a part of our mission and vision, and we see our role as a kind of driver in international development of our region and the economy of the country in global context. So that is why we focused so much on international aspects of development of our school. At the same time, we have quite interesting situation which could be considered as a kind of limitations for the development of internationalization, a kind of constraints and challenges. And I consider our geographical location as a kind of such challenge, because as you can see, we are located in the center of Russia at the border of Europe and Asia. So that is the location of our city of Yekaterinburg. And you can see at this map that we are located 2 hours flight from Moscow, and we have actually quite many flights, direct flights to Moscow, more than 10 flights per day. It is convenient in some direction, but that means that many flights from foreign countries could be made via Moscow, not directly to Yekaterinburg. Of course, we have quite many direct flights, but not to all countries, and that is a kind of constraints for internationalization development. And if we talk about the train travels, it is about 24 hours, so it takes 1 day to go from Yekaterinburg to Moscow by train. And very different situation regarding Europe, for example, is when we travel by car. And just for your consideration, I reflect in this picture the distance of 2 hours driving and 4 hours driving. And you can just imagine that, for example, in Europe, if you drive for 2 hours or for 4 hours, you will get in different country. And as for Yekaterinburg, if you drive for 2 hours, you will get just to the neighbor region in the same area as we are, so that is Ural region. And if you drive for 4 hours, you will reach the border with Kazakhstan only, but you still will be in Russia. So it is, of course, different. And it influences a lot our internationalization. And that means that, for example, the CIS countries, they are one of the priority market for us for attracting full-time students, for example. And as for exchange students as well, we have some markets which are more interested in our region, and other countries which are less interested in our region. And of course, we have to consider all these issues of our location and how we can better promote it to show our advantages and opportunities. So when we talk about main challenges connected with the current situation, pandemic, as you can say, I divided these challenges in 2 types. Ordinary challenges we usually have, and they are connected with geographical location, the perception of our city in comparison with Moscow and St. Petersburg, and of course, high competition from the side of other countries' study destinations. And pandemic influence is connected in very high degree with, for example, lockdown and not availability of international travels. So nobody can come, and a lot of issues are connected with visa services, because when you travel to Russia, you have to have visa to enter the country. Of course, a lot of challenges are connected with the organization of online learning, online teaching, so everything which is connected with online campus work organization. And some challenges, as we feel, are connected with the changing in the perception of international experience by target audiences. So students, prospective students, their families, they feel kind of scared to travel somewhere abroad, and they prefer better to stay with their families because they are not sure about the future and how they can be back to their families after all. So, and of course, we develop plans and actions how we can overcome these challenges in ordinary way and in this unusual situation. And I can say that we have a kind of mix of these actions. So, for example, if we talk about ordinary challenges, we work in the directions of international recognition improvement, international promotion campaigns, and international partnership developments. But when we talk about pandemic influence, it is a lot about development of online projects at international level, online international communications, networking, and digitalization. And if we merge these tools, we can receive quite interesting solutions and very good results. So I see that I'm very limited in time, but that is quite interesting. Yes, I need only 1 minute to finish.
Okay.
And so you see actually that it is have a lot of very common ideas with the previous speakers, because we have had very good effects of online and web development and digitalization for many aspects of our international development. So we was able to increase our full-time students number this year. And I think that this is connected somehow as well with the online tools we used for that. So we developed specific projects, as you can see in the right side of the slides, in connection with exchange students development. And of course, we made a lot for distant communications with our international students to stay in touch with them just 24 hours every day in the week. And we developed international teaching online and learning and partnership, and made a lot for online promo. And that helped us actually to switch a part of our international development to online, and we developed many international projects, quite interesting and quite effective. And our main outcomes. I think that we will see a lot of common ideas in our partner presentations. So, but that is what we got from our experience and what we hope to develop further even after pandemic is over, because it is very interesting and it adds value to our international programs and international development. So I'm ready to answer questions, and if you have any, please put them in the chat. And just to think that you are here, a kind of very short virtual tour around our university, just several pictures. And of course, you are invited to be here in our city and in our university for face-to-face meetings, just when it is possible. So thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please write it into the chat, and at the end we will discuss them, or maybe some of speakers will already answer these questions. Just one thing that I wanted to add, that our activity, our workshop is not just in frames of big conference Russian regions, but also in this after jubileum meeting 100 marathon, 100 days marathon for the 100th anniversary, and also one of these pandemic issues, how to unite all. Okay, thank you very much, Ekaterina. And now we are moving to our next partner. It's Politecnico di Milano Graduate School of Business, and we invite Professor Tommaso Agassisti, Associate Dean for Internationalization, Quality and Service. Dear colleagues, I'm sorry, 8 minutes, and then we will continue. Yeah,
here I am.
Please welcome.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. I will try to do my best to stay in the 8 minutes. Let me just share the screen. I hope you can see everything well. Let me know if you're watching the presentation whole screen. Okay.
It's okay, thank you.
Wonderful. So when started reflecting about how to talk about our internationalization strategy in the new setting we are experiencing, I thought it could be beneficial to talk about how we try to face the pandemic experience, because most part of the ideas we have at this stage come from the way in which we try to face the situation at that time, the way in which we are trying to face the situation right now, and the history with our digital learning strategy, which is very much intertwined with the way in which we are trying to cope with the situation and to discuss about the future. So in our case, as you know, Italy was one of the first countries that was affected by the first wave of this horrible pandemic. So we started on February 24th, it became pretty clear that we were forced to close our university. I reported this newspaper screenshot because it is really, it helps us to understand how we were faced the situation at that time. They say, well, probably we have to stop classes until March the 2nd. And then the story, was a little bit different. And at that time, we started to discuss with the executive committee about what is our priority. And we decided to opt for 3 priorities. The first one was to try to guarantee teaching continuity for the ongoing courses on campus, also because we had a huge number of international students at that time still on campus. Then we wanted to start contacting and engaging key stakeholders for showing them that we are close to them in facing this situation. So our attention moved immediately to students, faculty, businesses, and alumni, which are actually, they are actually the key stakeholder for us in terms also of internationalization strategy right now. And then to assure the intake for the new programs in which we want to test whether our ideas for internationalization in this new normal is becoming reality or not. In doing so, we were reflecting about, well, based on our history until that moment. We started investing in digital learning several years ago, well before the pandemic attracted the attention to this topic, we started our first flex or online executive MBA in 2014, and since then we tried to insert elements of our digital learning strategy into the various activities that is undertook by the School of Business. And the point is, well, ironically, this year, for the first time, we were ranked on the top 10 globally by both FT and QS for our online program that, of course, was accredited by EOX very soon by FMD back to 2017. So we had the experience, at least this is what was our reasoning at that time. We have the experience with digital learning to try to leverage on this expertise and deal with our international value proposition for our students, for our faculty, and for our stakeholders. So we took key decisions about the 3 challenges at the beginning. So the first one was to moving all the classes online, even before we were forced to do that. So confirming all the scheduled lessons and activities. So to say to our students, okay, you can move back to your countries, be safe there, but at the same time, you will not experience any reduction of the classes or teaching activities that you have to do because we have the competencies to do that online. The second was to create a series of free webinars, talks, and reading suggestions to all our stakeholders. And then the third was to start reflecting about the new programs, having hybrid version by default. So all the new programs we launched since then are hybrid by nature. So meaning you can attend them by both in presence or online. The results we obtained at that moment so before the summer were exceptional. We were very, very happy with that. So we had more than 5,000 hours of online sessions for our programs, from MBAs to our specialized master to the management academy, so the short executive courses, and to corporate clients. Everything went online. Everything was the possibility to interact with our international actors whenever they were. And we organized 90 live webinars in talk with CEO format, which is another way in which we are trying to keep our international community of students connected. So providing them the opportunity of interacting in online sessions with CEOs all around the world. And then we had very, very, well, I think it is the fruit of what we try to do, a very good intake for 2021 in terms of new programs, growing numbers, and we are still recruiting students from more than 47 countries in our online or hybrid programs. So skipping the organizational enablers that we had in mind for trying to obtain this result, I want to instead move, which is the heritage today for our strategy in terms of internationalization. So we are investing a lot of energies in trying to develop new formats, and new formats that can be supportive of the way in which we can assist our international students, our international partners, both universities and companies, in engaging them in the life of our business school. And the 3 main actions we have taken at this stage for this internationalization strategy are, first of all, we are consolidating our platform in which we have all our recorded video clips that we use for all our programs. And so the idea is that we can discuss with our international partners to co-design courses leveraging on the materials that we already have. We have more than 100 hours of video clips of 7.5 minutes each in 24 courses grouped in 7 key areas. And so we want to leverage on this platform that has a very good voiceover translation in many languages. And we want to leverage on this platform to design programs together with our international partners. The second is we are designing and realizing these virtual study visits. So we had a very successful on-campus program tailored and co-designed with partners of 3-15 days with our partners called Doing Business in Italy. So in which we try to have company visits, testimonials from the field, classes, lectures, and we are trying to move part of these activities online and co-design activities of this kind for our students partner, both from MBAs and specialized masters. So we are trying to say, okay, until it is not possible to move the students from one place to another, we will try to go to have this kind of experience online actually. And we are trying, the first one will be ready by the end of the year, and all the next year will be developed this way. And finally, we are experiencing very nice online career days, and it is possible to have them more frequently, more international. We are seeking partners where we are consolidating our partners and seeking new ones to co-organize online career days in which we can exchange students' experiences and companies' experiences. Now, my clock is saying I had 8 minutes already. So just the 3 messages at the end is: first, digital transformation was ongoing. COVID-19 accelerated it, and we see this as the key leverage for trying to improve our internationalization strategy. We are reflecting on the new paradigm that can become the opportunity, the platform for connecting our international partners with lifelong learning, snackable executive education, on-the-job, on-the-call courses with them. And I think the investments we made for improving a step further our digital learning strategy goes hand in hand with the idea of developing our internationalization activities. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope I was able to provide at least a glance to what we try to do in the months, and I look forward to hear other colleagues from different experiences.
Thank you very much. Very interesting information. I'm going to give word to one of our partners, Kedge Business School. Please welcome Tashina Giraud, Director of International Operations and Relations. Your sound is switched off.
Sorry about that. We are doing more Teams and Zooming, and so now we're becoming so digitally native as we go. Thank you very much for this introduction and this opportunity to share with you today. We said last year we were together at our partner days for one of our programs where we have a dual degree. And today we're together with, I see, a number of our partners, including the one who just spoke and the ones who will be speaking after. And so this is a wonderful opportunity to see everybody once again. And so I'm also going to put my timing on, and I'll try to be quite efficient. For those who are not familiar with Kedge, and even for those who are, I put a few numbers to introduce our topic today. Kedge is a French business school who is striving towards internationalization, like many of us. And we've seen this through our accreditations, but also numbers speak more than anything, I think. And you can see that a little less than a quarter of our students are international, about half of our permanent faculty. And we have a large number of outgoing students. So for France, we are the largest beneficiary of Erasmus budgets, for example. And we send nearly 4,000 students abroad in different formats every year, with 780 dual degree students. And so you can imagine this is a large mass of people going around the world at all times. And when the crisis happened, clearly it had heavy impacts as well. Our international model, and to give a bit of more of a foundation, is based around 3 main axes. So the activities that we actually do abroad, our campuses and our affiliates outside of France. So specifically in China, that we run activities with the Jinming University and the Franco-Chinese Institutes, and the new one that we created last year with the Chinese Central Academy of Fine Arts, and also our executive education activities in Shanghai, but also with our partners in our affiliates in Africa, in Dakar, BEM. So you can imagine that we have also activities managing through this crisis, not just what's happening on our French campuses, but also coordinating with everything that's happening on our international campuses. We also have a clear axe of the internationalization at home. We all share this, as we all are welcoming international mobility activities, putting in place all the different tools that we have to try to manage these activities and the safety of our students, including, which we'd already launched about a year before, an application called Safety Kedge that allows us to identify where our students are in the world whenever there's an issue, and ping them and make sure that they're in safety, and give them the ability to have somebody 24/7 available to help them in case there's an emergency, which was actually the first source of information we had when it came to COVID and our alerts, our alerts, early alert system. But also we export a certain number of activities with partners. in different areas through joint ventures, collaborations, dual degrees. And so the activities are not just happening on our French campuses. And sorry, as I was filling this out, I realized it was small, but I figured I'd put it all on one slide for you. Just like everyone here, we had phases of our reactions and activities. The phase one, I thought it would be ironic to call together the musical chairs phase, where we started having information coming from our students in Wuhan and in China, having to repatriate our students, having to stop mobility towards China, find them new seats in Europe, and some people here actually accepted to take some students, finding ways to switch things around, and then quickly having to re-switch them and having to bring back the thousands of students that we had abroad into France. It was basically an ongoing, never-ending shifting situation, but that in which we had to bring people in, send people out, produce financial aid, open up scholarships for students who found themselves in difficulty, put everything online within actually less than a week, actually, more likely 2 days. We'd shifted everything online. And that was that first, I say, crisis phase, which everybody thought would be it at the beginning, like, second wave. And then phase two was obviously adapting to fall. So we adapted our fall intake so that people could start online if they hadn't arrived. Since we have such a large number of incoming exchange and degree-seeking students, we made sure that when the programs they were coming into, they could start online if they couldn't get here on time. That's part of the French policy towards student mobility during this phase was come to France. And please, if possible, on time, but if not, we will accept late entries. And also blend bimodal formats. Everything from the beginning of the year was online in classroom and with limited, because we had to limit the space, a number of people in classes. Well, now we're all back at home, so everything's fully online again. We're continuing to adapt during this fall term, but also we are able to focus our mobility on Europe. We didn't stop all mobility. The idea was to keep as much international activity going as possible. And we were able to send out about 500 students, focusing on the Europe area, mainly for visa issues. And we were able to receive a number of students, as you can see, even though normally we have a lot more coming in, a lot more going out. But we also created for the first time virtual study trips, virtual international faculty seminar, which is going to be happening in December. And we'll get back to the whole virtual campus in the end, the value proposal. And so now we're in the middle of organizing, just as you all, the spring mobility for the upcoming mobility, because right now I have over 1,200 students who are supposed to go out just in academic mobility, not talking about internships or other forms. And as you can imagine, the incoming numbers are very small. So what do we do for this? How do we maintain mobility when it's possible? How can we navigate this to continue to allow the most experiences as possible? And as we said, we're doubling up in Europe. We did double nominations for certain students mainly because of the visa situations and the complete uncertainty that we're still in today. And as of some of you have maybe received emails this week, we're opening up virtual exchange options for our partners in order to ensure that they can still send people even online, because we know that last minute this term we had cancellations. And so we'd like to maintain as much mobility as possible during this period. And so within all of this, this crisis in the end was very beneficial in producing what we're going to be calling now the KEDGE Virtual Campus. We have online courses and online resources. I just named one, like our library, but a lot of different resources, all of our resources have now been moved online as well. As our colleague said, we leapfrogged into the future of our digitalization. We had already been digitalizing. We already had blended courses. We already had online learning management systems and online courses. And now this leapfrogged all of our activities into the future. But we also put in for coaching, career fairs, workshops, networking, hundreds of activities online. The student associations, we worked really closely with them to help animate. We have conferences, meetups, games, trying to help people have a life, even though you're stuck in your dorm room. Student check-in, right now, every single student will receive at least one phone call during this current confinement period by another student to make sure they're doing okay. online culture experiences, learning how to cook during confinement, visiting museums, but also student fairs, wellness activities. So basically saying, what is that experience learning? And that was what our colleague was saying. That's where our added value is in the experiences that we can give them online. So to end and to sum up saying, well, what are the challenges and opportunities that we have now to face? I think we're all going to share these ones, is that we need to stabilize student mobility. It is still today very unstable. And we need to secure future mobility for all of our students. That's very important between us all, is to be very flexible and understanding, and let's secure that future mobility for our students, but also to help make more durable and long-term virtual mobility options for all of our students, to make it more accessible and actually respond to Erasmus priorities of being more inclusive for those who do not have the financial means to travel. But in terms of our partnership development, what now we're looking at doing is saying quality over quantity. Let's do more meaningful things with our partners. Blend our development. Let's do some blended activities, do some online, some actual physical mobility. We need to remember all those sustainable development goals that we are committed to and how we can bring sustainability into international development. And we really need to continue working daily on the international mindset, no matter how we produce it and how we bring it about, be it on campus or online. So that's 8 minutes and a half. Sorry, Victoria.
Super timing. Thank you very much, Tashina. Thanks a lot. Dear colleagues, it's a lot of questions in chat concerning your beautiful presentations. So I'm kindly asking you to send me your presentations after, maybe right now, maybe after finalizing, and we will resend it to all the participants of our workshop. Thanks a lot for the situation in France and worldwide in Catch. And now we are moving to your neighbors. We are moving to Belgium. And to the Liège University HEC Management School. So please, Anne, are you here? Yes. Okay, thank you.
Yes,
please.
I am here. Hello, everyone. I think, thank you for joining the session today. I think I will focus my presentation maybe from a student perspective. Just a few seconds, I'm trying to go on diaporama mode. All right. Okay, so HEC Liège Belgium is a part of the University of Liège. We are also an independent business school, an autonomous business school, middle-sized, a little bit over 3,500 students. And usually we welcome approximately 200 exchange students. We send abroad the same amount of outgoing students, and we enroll, I would say, at master level, because our international recruitment campaigns mostly concern the master degree seeking students. We say that every year we welcome 150 new international master degree students. So I should say that we had some alerts during the fall 2019, because there were kind of strong demonstrations in Hong Kong and in Chile, and those demonstrations made us realize that, when we send students abroad, they might face some challenges while doing their mobility experience, and that those experiences were presented very, very differently from one student to others. And for instance, we had two students in Hong Kong. One student wanted to go back to Belgium as fast as possible, while another one, we really nearly had to force her to come back. So this is a situation that the COVID-19 also made us feel, is that the crisis, whether it is a political crisis, demonstration, but also the epidemic, made us understand that the situation was felt very differently from one student to another, and that led to, as far as possible, an individual management that, to take into account each student's situation. So that the first step we took in March was to get in touch with every international students, whether it was outgoing students abroad, in degree seeking or exchange students already, still in Liège. What do you want to do? Are you comfortable? What do you need? So that was really the first step. Regarding the switch to the full online activity that we were forced to do in March, and that we are now, of course, still forced to do because of the second wave of the epidemic, I should say that we didn't face any particular challenge to adjust to a full online activity. The reaction was very, very quick from our academics. They were adaptable, and so students could keep on following their study plan and their curriculum without any impediment. Actually, our recruitment campaigns were already completely online for some reasons, for some internal reasons, and so we didn't really have to adjust, at least with the strategy. We had to adjust probably with the visa part. I think that overseas students were really concerned that it was difficult for them to reach their visa, so that's really one thing that we had to focus on during this summer. And after a while, of course, we were a little bit stunned, but very soon after even in spring, instead of canceling our events, we switched to an online mode. And so all the events we were organizing, whether it was for alumni, whether it was for international partners, for active research, also symposiums, we were able to organize them online as well. So I would say that the switch to full online mode was not a problem, except probably for the fact that not seeing your colleagues and having to talk only from screens, it's a little bit tiresome and tedious at some points. But other from that, we didn't have many issues regarding the full online activity. But very soon, actually, the question of what about the 2021 mobilities, because our selection process was already completed. We didn't want to cancel all the mobilities unless the students themselves wanted to cancel, or the host institution was saying, sorry, we won't be able to accommodate your student next academic year. And so rather than canceling all the study abroad mobilities for at least the fall 2020 mobilities, we decided to apply strict and clear boundaries to the students. If you want to cancel, please cancel. You are perfectly welcome to do so. Please bear in mind that usually insurance companies do not take the COVID-19 epidemic crisis into their liability. So if you have to pay something, make sure that to wait as long as possible before making any payments, before buying your plane ticket, before booking an accommodation. Please wait. So all the strict boundaries and communication that we sent to the student. Eventually, we were able to send 90 students abroad this semester, which is approximately 40% of the usual figures that we send. And one thing that is important to notice is that students who were selected for an overseas mobility, even if the mobility was not cancelled, they really preferred to spend their abroad mobility in a Belgian neighboring country. So this is actually one important, it is not a challenge, but it's something we are very eager to look forward, is to check whether for the future and the upcoming mobilities, this trend will be confirmed. And in the past, our students also, it is normal, preferred to travel overseas to Asia, to some countries in Africa and South America. But will the trend to favor a closer mobility in Belgium, one of Belgium's neighboring countries, Sensulato, will be confirmed. Okay, so actually this is also kind of a lively message that we received from a student who is in Korea right now, probably a little bit safer than in Belgium. But she said, I am in South Korea and everything is going very well for me. We have no problem with the coronavirus. The situation is very stable and we can live normally. I am very happy to be here and I do not regret having spent a month in quarantine. So that was a very reassuring message that we received, and I really wanted to show to share it with you today, because after the stress of canceling, not canceling, what are we doing? Shall we authorize students to go that far away? Well, the message that we see from the students who are abroad are very positive message. They were happy to finally be able to have their mobilities, to live and to experience the normal events of the youth. Regarding the incoming mobility, well, rather soon after the beginning of the epidemic, the decision of the university was to organize as much on-site teaching as possible after the start of this new academic year. We also invested on a massive testing process to monitor the spread of the epidemic. So that is an important investment that the university did. We have, of course, put this into a hold right now because we are back at home into lockdown, but it was kind of an efficient procedure, and that allowed the university to monitor the epidemic. In order to allow students to have close contacts between themselves and during the professors and to attend as much on-site teaching as possible, we did the registration process, our welcoming sessions, and every administrative aspects were done online in order to really limit the exchange to the classes, seminars, and contact between students and their professors. Our International Student Union also organized outdoor events, only outdoor events, never indoor. And well, it made sure to welcome international students as warmly and fun as possible. So this is actually a picture it's took in the countryside in a beautiful landscape in Belgium. And so they visited, well, a brewery. They did a boat tour along the Meuse. They organized a social dinner outside. It was still very warm at the end of September. And so it is, well, students have been able to be welcomed in, well, nearly as friendly and as normally as was possible regarding the epidemic. So this is also the impression of double degree students from the partnership that we have with the University of Limerick. So actually it was just also to show that the students were happy to be here, especially able to finish their studies as they wanted to, and to have the opportunity to have 2 degrees at the end of their master's studies. We've been asked quite a lot whether it was possible to do a full and exclusively online mobility. We have that question mainly from our partner universities, because when we asked our outgoing students, well, if your host university decides to cancel the on-site mobility and allows you to do a full online mobility, would you be interested? We didn't want to close the door. We just wanted to have our students' opinion about that. Would you be ready to do your exchange abroad only online? So stay back at home and attend online classes. The answer of all our outgoing students was no. Actually, so all of them, when faced to the possibility to have either stay at home, attend ULIEG classes, or to have.
I'm sorry, just time a little bit.
It was my last slide. So the answer was no. Outgoing students refused. So, and the decision of the university was to teach on site. So again, we are not planning to allow the online mobility for incoming students either. So just. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for these words of students. It's very interesting. Okay, so you were talking about South Korea. And we're moving to the Salisbury International Business Officers. So we're moving from Europe to Asia. Please welcome. I think your sound is off. Yeah.
Hello everyone, and thank you very much for inviting to this very needed conference. And the pandemic created a lot of challenges for universities, especially for internationalization. And it was actually all universities strive for globalization, and this happened and made more vulnerable to extend threats than ever before. And what URFU, your university, doing organizing this conference is very impressive and remarkable. We can exchange our best practices fighting this pandemic and improve our services to our stakeholders and students. My name is Iskandar. I'm originally from Uzbekistan, but working in Korea for 14 years in the field of education, and before I was deputy dean in the leading university in Uzbekistan, and doing the internationalization for last this 13 years in Korea actually give me a lot of experience, and having a lot of our partners in this conference is making even better. Liège, and you talk about your campus, and I visited your campus. It's very big and beautiful, and for a lot of opportunities for outdoor experiences. Beautiful castle, and so on. So it's just introduction about Korea, you know, which is more than 50 million population. It's a peninsula, and it's a republic, and per capita GDP is more than 30,000 US dollars, and from one of the poorest countries in 60s, Korea now became one of the 20 major economies in the world, and one of the largest exporters, and the best country in global innovation index, and school education is good, that competition in education to enter good universities is very high. And you know those, sorry, it's some Russian for our listeners from Russia. So those brands you all know, and maybe enter to each households in the world. So Korea has no resources, and just developing their knowledge potential to survive in these challenging situations. This is a foreign students trend in Korea. If you look at the left upper table, you can see the total number of foreign students in Korea now a little bit above 160,000. And most of them are in undergraduate program and exchange and language programs. And in Korea, there are 245 four-year universities, and 226 of them, they have international students. And as you can see, it's very, very vulnerable for Korean universities. The pandemic happened because they strongly depend on internationalization. And if you can see, there are like almost 500,000 university seats and less graduates than their university seats. And on the right table, you can see that Korea is number 3 on sending students abroad. So it means that 480,000 people who are taking exams, and not all staying in Korea, and some of them they're going to other countries. And in order to keep universities run, they need the international students to visit and come. So that's why it's very crucial for Korea to develop and keep the internationalization. So these are the top 15 universities in Korea with the highest number international students. And our university, our business school is belong to Wusong University, which is check number 8. And we have almost 3,000 international students on campus. And also it's proved that we also really affected a lot from the pandemic, and trying to find the ways how to overcome this situation and keep our business and our university running. And we are the best in Korea, as you see, for dual degree programs. Our department develops different kind of programs, and this orange color, you can see we are the highest number. We focus on the dual degrees, and bringing students from different countries who would like to experience Korean economic growth. So at the pandemic, what's the situation now? As you remember, in March and April, Korea was number 2 after China for the cases. But now with more than 28,000 cases, Korea is number 90 in the world. So how Korea was able to stop that spread and become very, relatively safer. So transparency and no lockdown was during all pandemics since the beginning. So even we never stopped working, but of course, all these public gatherings, they're canceled. only, but businesses all running since then. So this is really impressive. And what government did, it's like I would really stress out these 5 points, which is the testing. Like testing was available and very fast for everyone who've been suspicious for the case. And tracking. So Korea, you know, the highest users of internet, and tracking all the people through their mobile phone or internet, and cameras, CCTV, gave people to identify all the connections the infected people made, and ask those people to stay in quarantine. And of course, treatment was free of charge for everyone. So people voluntarily would go and pass a test, and if they infected, take a treatment. And of course, in 2015, it was MERS, coronavirus. We heard about it, and this experience made already Korea ready for this kind of new outbreaks. And there was a special group who would make quick responses for any happenings and local outbreaks within Korea, and go and learn. There is some case in the middle, but it's very small letters, but it's really interesting case about how fast testing and tracking brought from one person who infected with the virus, 9,000 people being asked to stay in quarantine for 2 weeks. So this is how effective was a government policy. And there is a good chart. I think most of you know that Hofstede, he created also his site about the cultural differences. And when you look at the individualism, and I'm taking like 3 countries for today's presentation, which is South Korea, Russia, and number 1 in cases in the world, United States. And the level of individualism in South Korea is like lowest. It means they are more like sociable people here, and with a high discipline, maybe with roots on Confucianism and so on. So what they think people, this consciousness is main vaccine, and every resident of the country is a main subject to prevent the quarantine measures, and the small contribution can save many things in this country. So this is how people think, and this is one of the also reason that people with a high social responsibility think not only about them and the families, but about societies. And wearing the masks and having sanitized everything, it was always the case without even control and asking. So this is information about the university. We have 14,000 students. Our business school is accredited by AACSB with more than 60 nationalities, and we have 250 plus partner universities working in all types of cooperational programs. And out of 8 university departments, 4 are fully English taught. And our university is a specialized university, and that's why it has the highest employment rate of graduates and the highest number of international faculty, because we teach and offer many courses in entirely English. So how our business school experienced the pandemic? It was in March, supposed to start spring semester, but it delayed till March 23, and it starts online. And recently we started online hybrid classes, which are actually, we are getting used to it, but going well, and student satisfaction is increasing because they can have classroom experiences. And we never stop welcoming international students from those countries borders are not closed with. So all students would come, we will welcome them, and after 2 weeks quarantine in the dormitories, they would go to the class or to city and do their experiences. And of course, we developed university app for all students and the staff for better monitoring. All who came to the university, go to the university, they use this app, and this monitoring helps us to see what students and staff are doing and how many people are in the campus. We can control it and so on. So this 14 days quarantine of the students, we would check them every day, offer 3 times meal, and put in the single accommodation. So university also took a big part having this. And this is how it looked like. I'd like to, everyone maybe now experiencing this, is the cafeterias, entrances, classrooms, and so on. So lessons and challenges what we have. I'm sorry being a little bit talking over the time. So implementing, this is giving us, because we moved to hybrid classes, implementing new education technologies for higher quality hybrid classes. Online classes only were like relatively easier because Zoom and everyone is talking to in online. But now having the hybrid classes, because we have international students who are attending classes from their home countries, we have to developing our technologies and looking at these circumstances as an incentives, and as a result improving our international strategies, adapting to all online. And we hope that easing of eliminating strict government regulations, what Korea has, is bringing more competitiveness to our universities, because in Korea before it was allowed only 20% of classes online, but now 100% classes online is possible, even students are abroad. So if you have questions, I will be really happy to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we also will be really grateful for your presentation. And I absolutely agree with the message in chat from Tashina, from Kedge, that South Korea, a very prepared, conscientious. I absolutely agree. It's really great example. Thank you so much. I'm really sorry we already have a little of time, and then without discussion, I'm doing it faster and faster. So our next report, we're moving back to Europe, Netherlands, Zuid University of Applied Science, Edward Overes, Professor and Coordinator, Strategic Management Specialization. Please welcome.
Okay, thank you for the kind words. I would start sharing my slides as well. This would be this one. And if all is well, you should be slide mode. Yeah, well, I'm trying not to repeat many of the things already said, because I recognize a lot of things. I'm from Zuid University in Maastricht, Netherlands. We call it the heart of Europe. I try to express that in this picture. And I can't, like Ekaterina, say, okay, where we are in 2 hours drive, because then we're basically already in the sea. I would do it by bike, actually. Okay, so before the Corona crisis started, 2019, we were quite satisfied, actually, what we were doing. We had international classroom. We had a lot of international students, internships, research, business challenges. We were well recognized by a lot of accreditations and good partnerships. So actually we were quite satisfied. But what we basically did take for granted, that all this was based on one key driver, and which was mobility. So we saw a lot of action going on in our university, which were based on mobility. And of course, we already know, due to pandemic, this all shifted somehow. The international classroom we had, which we are very proud of, was not longer possible. The study exchanges, the internships, well, you all mentioned it previous as well. We also found that in our situation to be very difficult. So we were trying to overcome this. And I would like to actually share some of, one experience we had, just a practical example of, I think, how we dealt with it pretty well. So what we did, as many of you, we rapidly had to develop online teaching. So instead of classes, we had online inspiration session, online expertise sessions. We had coaching sessions online. So we were trying to digitalize, as many of you were doing. But by doing that, we were also rethinking our didactical approach. And it's not only the right balance between online and offline, but also how we would approach the students. So was basically giving the class as we were doing, would this pandemic actually not be an opportunity to start rethinking about it and basically reshift the work of the teaching towards the students? And I think we did that quite well. Next to that, of course, we're going to work with the calls, but I would like to emphasize a project we did, and we fastly developed actually, to look for new opportunities. And that's what I want to focus on as being an example. Because what we did in spring this year actually, for example, we set up an online management game. And we did that not only, not just we did it with a lot of our partners. And there the importance of having good partnerships comes along, so you can act quickly on if something happens like a pandemic. We set up a management game online with students from 31 nationalities, but moreover, and I think that's important, with a lot of staff and coaches as well from partner universities. 8 to be exact, I counted. And which means that the coaches and the students were living in different, even in different continents, not only countries. We were covering 8 time zones. What I've done is I placed all the students in mixed groups, making sure that no nationality was in one group more than one time. So basically already having that experience. And then we put them in a competitive environment, managing a global phone company. We did this for several weeks. In our terms, it was a block, as we call it. And it was really a joy to see, not only from the student side, but also from the cooperation side between the colleagues. And as was already mentioned previously in the first presentation, if COVID learned us one thing, or taught us one thing, is that our international partners are closer by than we originally thought. And this really happened in this time. But we didn't even play the game. Actually, what was more important for us in this experience is that the students would experience how it was to be in an international environment. So what we were trying to do with this game is we were trying to simulate, or maybe even to compensate or to replace, I don't know how I would call it, so that I put some different words, but we would try to give them the international experience by having the international classroom in their teams, that we would have a certain virtual exchange of students, but also from staff. The staff of the international partners was really involved in this one. We were able to set up international research projects around this game. And for the students, this was really sometimes for what they experience as a real international experience. So what we have been trying to do is to find to make the best out of it by coming up with new, I don't know if it's innovative, but at least new ways of thinking how we could internationalize the experience students would have in an online environment. And I want to close with one quote of one of the students participating in the game. Is a girl from Brazil in this case, which I really like, because for me it was a proof that we were accomplishing what we wanted to. I'm learning so much about our other cultures, interpersonal relations in other countries, and how it does affect decision making inside the game. Particularly, I always wanted to do an exchange, but it was never financially possible. Brazil, this girl never left Brazil, but also wanted to do it, but hadn't the financial resources to it. So I was never financially possible, and this project provided me with to experience a virtual exchange, an exchange of experiences, culture, and intellectual growth. For me, this was really a nice compliment to see. But this is how we tried to overcome COVID and well, less mobility. Actually, this is where I want to stop my presentation, so to make up some time as well. But I wanted to have a more practical focus on this topic. Back to you, Victoria.
Thank you very much. It was 8 minutes, 0 seconds. Super.
Champion.
Thank you so much. And so nice message. I was just feeling it like from Brazil girl. It's very nice, this cross-cultural communications. And I'm giving word to our last participant, and we're going back to Asia, to China. Chongqing University School of Economics and Business Administration, Tian Ni, Director of International Affairs. Please welcome.
Thank you, Victoria. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but not really loud. Could you be a little bit?
Can you hear now? It's better?
Yes, it's better.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm honored to be here to share some experience and practice we are doing in this challenging year. As everyone knows, 2020 it's really a challenging year for internationalization of business school. But we are still trying. To do our best to provide international exchange opportunities for our students and faculty. So I will share some practice what we are doing this year. Okay. Can you see the screen on mine? Okay. I'm Tian Ni from the School of Economics and Business Administration of Chongqing University, and I'm the Director of International Affairs of our school. And today I'd like to introduce the city and our school and what we are doing in this year. Firstly, I would like to introduce the city to you because maybe most of you haven't been here. Chongqing is a large city located in southwest China. It is one of the 5 central cities in China, and it is also the provincial capital of China during the Second World War. And this city has a population more than 30 million. It's a big city. It's a province. It's province. And as to Chongqing University, you can see here our ranking in 2020. It's shown like this. In the ARWU ranking, our university is ranked between 300 to 400. And for the latest QS ranking, we are ranked between 300 to 350 to 800. Okay, that's the ranking of our university, and our university is supported by the Ministry of Education, and it's one of the university in the program of National Line 85 program and the National World Class University project. That's the university. As to our school, we were founded in 1937, and our school was accredited by ASSB and EMBA. And just like Mr. Bob said, well, the online accreditation of EQUIS will be a big challenge, will be the biggest challenge of us in the next year, because we are already noticed that the PRT team maybe will accredit or will review our school online in the next year. So that will be the biggest challenge for us for the next year. And as to ranking of our school, we are ranked 16th. The latest ranking is 16th in China. And one of our discipline is ranked in top 10% in China. And we have 6 departments, 11 education programs. That's the general situation of our school. And that's the value, vision, and mission. Maybe all the business school has the vision to educate leaders for the world and for the country. I believe we are the same. And that's the practice I would like to share with you tonight. Firstly, we have 2 English taught programs. One is MIB program, that's Master of International Business. And another one is a PhD in Management program. These are 2 English taught programs, but our Chinese programs also open for international students. And in 2019, we have 142 international students pursuing degrees here, and that accounts about 5% of our students of our school, but it accounts for almost 1/5 of the whole university. So internationalization is a very, very important strategy for the whole university from last year, because our university issued a new version of international strategy, and we will do our best to promote the internationalization work of our school also. And the partnership, concerning partnership, we have joined 2+2, 3+1.5, 3+1+1+1 double degree programs with many universities like Euro Federal University, University of Cincinnati, Elon Business School in France, and University of Geneva and SSSA in Italy, and Grenoble de Management in France, and Singapore Management University, and Antwerp Management University, and so on. But we don't have so many partnership up to now, but this is what we want to do in the next several years. We want to expand our international partnership. So I'm honored to, if you are interested to, maybe we can discuss the possibility to collaborate in the next several years with you. And we also have exchange programs and short-term visit and study programs with many partner universities. And our faculty also have research collaborations with many international faculty. And our faculty is, most of our faculty are Chinese, but most of them have experience, overseas study or visiting experience. More than 60 of them have overseas visiting and study experience more than 1 year. And as to research work, because the publication is a huge pressure for all the faculty in these years. So many faculty started to collaborate with international scholars to publish on international journals. In the last 3 years, we published 149 papers, English papers, indexed by on SSCI or SCI indexed journals. And in the last 5 years, our faculty published more than 10 papers on UTD 24 and the FT 45 journals, including the Accounting Review, Journal of International Business Studies, and so on. So our faculty are open to collaborate with international faculty. And this is the facilities. We have very good facilities for students and visiting professors. So if it is possible, your faculty are welcome to visit us to teach or to do research work here with our faculty. And okay, here I would like to share some practice in this year. This year is very challenge. And firstly, in this year, we try to recruit faculty online. This is a new practice because usually we will go outside, go overseas on conferences or job fair to present, to recruit, to meet candidates. But from this year, we do many online presentations, including EFMD job fair and AOM platform, and so on. So as you know, everything is online this year. So this is online faculty recruitment. And secondly, we organized joint program presentations online because we have many 2+2, 3+1.5 projects, and so on. So we invited our partners from Canada, from Singapore, from France to do presentations online to welcome the applicants from our school. So this is very successful.
I'm sorry, 1 minute more, please. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. And so in this year, we also organized an online faculty training program for our faculty. And then we organized the online academic, we organized a conference between our faculty with the faculty from the University of Surrey. And more than 50 faculty from 2 universities, from 2 business schools discussed the collaboration opportunities online. It's a great success. It was just held yesterday. And also we do recruitment and teaching for international students online this year. And we also invite our students to apply for online study programs, including programs of GSEM program and UCLA programs and so on. And we also do online partnership development and communications because we are still discussing all kinds of cooperation opportunities with partners. So I would like to exchange ideas maybe with you all in the future about the collaborations. So that's all. Thank you. Thank you. And
thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Okay, so thank you all. It was extremely interesting to know how we all get through this pandemic issues. And while we were talking, it's already dark on the street because it's late autumn already in Russia. Bob, can I ask you please to make some little conclusions?
Yes, thank you, everyone. Very enjoyable and very interesting experiences. I just really have a couple of comments as time is running short. I would start by saying, think how things have changed, not only in the last decade or so, but in the last 10 months. I think how our learning from our experiences has really identified the kind of opportunities that have emerged. I suspect you wouldn't have been thinking about some of the things that we're doing, except for this terrible pandemic which has occurred to us. I was interested in the slide which showed Ekaterinburg 2 hours from Moscow. It's kind of 2 nanoseconds from Moscow these days. Edward talked about the new opportunities that had arisen, the management game, for example. Partners now being so much closer to us. And I think some of the comments made, for example, by Tian-Ni just now about the changing nature of those partnerships, how we see our partners. It's not just about student exchanges and so on, or even faculty exchanges, but it's the very nature of those partnerships that have changed. Let me finish on a lighter note. Tashina, I'm really looking forward to virtual wine tasting in the future.
It is fun, and they had a champagne class as well. But and you have a French chef who's helping kids learn like confinement cooking in their dorms. We're trying everything we can, but even for us, for staff,
it's really good
this
idea.
white wine isn't looking so good.
Sparkling water during the day. Huh?
Water, cheers. Okay,
Thanks,
thank
Victoria.
you. Thank you all very much. We are waiting for your presentations. Thank you for your experience. And I hope that starting from our name now in internationalization of business schools in the coronavirus epoch, for us, it's opportunity and interesting challenge. So thank you very much. It was very nice to see you. And we are about in our time. So see you all in online and hope offline.